Hey Jeff, thanks for joining me.
Hey Steve, thanks for having me again.
Well, good to have you. Well, something that we're starting to see more of is millionaire renters. Now this isn't really an issue of housing affordability, obviously, of people in that, higher income status, but it is an issue of housing being at higher prices, financing being higher. And given that, and we've also talked about this, that in a lot of markets, maybe residential housing just doesn't look like that great of an investment opportunity. There's a lot of people, millionaires, people with a lot of money that are just looking at their assets and being like, you know what, I'd rather invest in the stock market. I'd rather put the money maybe in commercial real estate. And if I want a extra place to stay instead of buying it, maybe I'll just rent it. I mean, these are people that largely already have a residence or maybe multiple residents. And now when they're looking at another place, they're just renting. So not really that surprising, but some of your thoughts is we're starting to see an uptick in the number of really high income, high wealth individuals that are choosing to rent instead of buy.
Well, I think to some degree it makes sense, especially with the mobility, right? Like people who may have may be these higher earners that have a space in a larger city, don't want to necessarily live in the larger city, may rent something for the week. And I think it's like the old New York, New Jersey side, like may rent something for the week and live in New Jersey on the weekends type thing. Maybe it's something like that. But I think the mobility of people being able to travel across the country and be in multiple places, it makes sense for somebody to manage the maintenance than own and have to manage the maintenance themselves as well. I mean, I can see a lot of reasons why. Plus, it's probably to some degree cheaper. They only have to be there for 12 months. If they don't like it, they can go somewhere else.
Yeah, and just to give some numbers to this, between 2018 and 2022, share of households with annual incomes of more than three-quarters of a million that rented rose to 10.5%. So cracked double digits, a little bit more than one in 10. And then looking at this also, um, in the previous 5-year period, looking at actually, let me jump from that to households net worth ranked in the top 5%. The share of renters rose to 3.7% in 2022.
Well,
That's a Federal Reserve survey. So, I mean, not a huge part of the market, but definitely a meaningful part of the market that's
yeah, I'm
choosing, looking at a house and renting.
for sure. I mean, the other side too is, like you said, some of these people probably already have a house somewhere, probably already, maybe even a couple houses somewhere. So for them to rent something, this becomes probably something that could be a tax write-off, something that they are using as a business expense in opposition to just being a housing expense. So, just interest, just insurance, those expenses. So, I mean, I can see reasons why people do it. I like you said, it's not a large percentage, but it is a meaningful one.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's all the stuff we talked about, housing affordability, the insurance costs going up, property taxes being higher, if they're trying to do it with financing. But I think for a lot of these folks, it's simply sitting down and saying, where am I going to get the best return on my funds? And them looking at where residential real estate is. And I think you've got a good argument that it just doesn't look like a great investment
I
class. I
can't
mean,
tell you how many times I think I've seen at least one Grant Cardone video where he's indicated that, he doesn't buy houses, he just rents because it's the mobility and it's something he can write off and it makes sense for him. And that's kind of probably a nuance to a generation that is used to you're going to have that house with the picket fence and 1.5 dogs. So it's just something that most people aren't used to, and maybe more people are catching on.
yeah, yeah. And it also, I think when we look at real estate, we like multifamily, but that's different than, single family residential.
Yeah,
There's other opportunities we're seeing. And certainly we sometimes, I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but we sometimes invest in markets that we really have no interest in living in. So, I think some of this is if you're really being a professional, where you want to live and make your primary residence and where you want to invest are seldom going to be the same thing, right? I mean, you're just going to be using different criteria. So, I mean, to my mind, this is just kind of another sign pointing to uh, single family residential housing just probably isn't your best place to look to make future returns. And I think it's probably smart for some of these guys to rent and put their money to work elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, and look, there are many variables that fall into the single family residential for rent as well. There's long term, short term. So there's all sorts of different reasons of why people do it. But for the average person, who knows? Each person invests differently. But you're right. A lot of people don't typically invest where they live, and for a number of reasons, but a lot of reasons because they go and find where people are moving to, and they find the demographics like we do, and then we invest in those areas because it makes sense.
Okay. Thanks for the insights, Jeff. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Comment, let us know what we're missing, what you think, and visit our website, selectfincap.com, and register for our free weekly real estate newsletter and to get an opportunity to invest in exclusive commercial real estate investment opportunities. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.